Behind the red carpet sparkle of classic Tinseltown lurks a harsher truth. Many of Hollywood's brightest icons were fighting, and often losing, a private war with alcohol. Today we'll explore 20 famous names whose drinking shaped their work, wrecked their health, and causing relationship breakdown. If you like deep dives like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date. Ready? Let's pour back the curtain. Kicking off the list is Richard Burton. At his 1970s peak, Burton guzzled 2 to 3 bottles of vodka daily, bragging he was sober after only 2. A detox lockdown briefly helped, but a cerebral hemorrhage caught him in 1984. Up next we have Frank Sinatra. Sinatra's friends joked they were the American Olympic drinking squad. Old Blue Eyes downed a bottle of Jack Daniels a day. 4 ice cubes, 2 fingers, splash of water, then lashed out at reporters or co-stars if provoked. When he died in 1998, a bottle of Jack was tucked into the coffin. At number 3 we have Peter O'Toole. O'Toole claimed alcohol improved his acting. He and Omar Sharif filmed the camel raid scene drunk for liquid courage. He later joked he couldn't recall large chunks of the shoot. At number 4, we have Oliver Reed. Reed promised Ridley Scott he'd stay dry on Gladiator, then died mid-production after a Maltese bar contest. 8 beers, 3 bottles of rum, countless shots, and suffered a heart attack in the process. At number 5, we have Errol Flynn. He featured in countless movies over the years and was always partial to indulging in alcohol. Nicknamed Cirrhosis by the Sea, Flynn hosted wild yacht parties with booze, cocaine, and celebrities. He collapsed from heart failure at 50. At number 6, we have Humphrey Bogart. Charming until 11:30 p.m., then belligerent. Bogart once bicycled around Warner Bros. In pajamas, too hungover to work, and needed martinis delivered to his dressing room. At number 7, we have Spencer Tracy. Spencer was known for his natural performing style, versatility, and was the first actor to win 2 consecutive Academy Awards. But after each film, Tracy vanished into a hotel for week-long binges. Even 5 sober years couldn't silence the cravings he called the shame. At number 8, we have Joan Crawford. She started as a dancer that led to touring on Broadway shortly after she was signed in her first motion picture called Untamed. She was PepsiCo's glamorous ambassador and traveled with a bar cart rider, bourbon, scotch, gin, champagne, and a token case of Pepsi. She loved to drink. At number 9, we have Elizabeth Taylor, first A-lister to check into the Betty Ford Center, 1983. Her public fight helped destigmatize rehab and pivoted her toward AIDS activism. At number 10 is Barbara Payton, a 1950s bombshell who slid into arrests, forged checks, and prostitution as alcoholism destroyed her career, dead at 39 from heart and liver failure. At number 11 is Gail Russell, shy beauty pushed into stardom, racked by stage fright. Multiple DUIs and sanitarium stays preceded her death, alone at home, age 36, cause heart attack. At number 12 is Cary Grant. Yes, Suave Cary battled the bottle in the 50s. An experimental therapist prescribed LSD. After nearly 100 guided trips, Grant reported serenity and stayed largely alcohol-free thereafter. At number 13 is Michael Langdon, America's favorite prairie dad, spiked morning coffee with whiskey, vodka in the afternoon, then 4 packs of unfiltered cigarettes a day. Pancreatic cancer claimed him at 54. At number 14 is Jan Michael Vincent. The highest-paid TV actor on Airwolf spent his fortune on cocaine and liquor, causing delays that got the show canceled. Drunk driving wrecks cost him his health and eventually his leg. At number 15 is Robert Shaw. On Jaws, Shaw's scotch-soaked rants rattled Richard Dreyfuss, who once hurled Shaw's drink overboard. Ironically, Shaw nailed Quint's drunken monologue stone cold sober, one take. At number 16 is W.C. Fields. Comedy's grand curmudgeon reportedly polished off 2 quarts of gin a day, then lampooned that very habit on radio and film until his body gave out in 1946. At number 17 is Broderick Crawford. Cue sirens and a flashing roof light. Behind the camera on Highway Patrol, Crawford was rarely sober. To keep him vertical, the art department quietly raked door frames and windowsills 4 or 5 degrees, so when he slumped the image still looked square. At number 18 is Gig Young, Oscar winner fired from Blazing Saddles on day 1 for collapse-inducing withdrawals. 3 weeks after wedding #5, he murdered his bride and killed himself. Blood tests showed booze and Valium. At number 19 is Albert Finney. Albert Finney was a legendary British actor whose career spanned over 5 decades, known to enjoy his liquor and a lunchtime pints man until kidney cancer surgery in 1984 convinced him to quit. He enjoyed 35 more productive, sober years. Lucky last, at number 20 is Dean Martin. Tuxedo, cigarette, slurred one-liners. Martin's onstage lush act looked authentic enough to spawn barroom imitations worldwide.